So not providing direct support so much as looking at the systems and looking at the market so that it's sustainable. We're also launched an investment fund which provides long-term finance and hands-on support for small and medium enterprises. And in the past, we've helped government with some of the regulatory reforms that govern business in Ghana. It is a really important thing. Government has a very important role, and it's important that that role is in the right place. I think my previous speaker talked very much about the regulatory constraints, and some of those statistics are very striking, I think. It takes you 495 days to settle a claim in court. That's a very serious thing. And so we have previously helped, and it's improved the situation. We would like the government to go further, and I really encourage ministers here to really take that forward and to really look at how it can make it easier for businesses to thrive and businesses to do well and to create those jobs that Ghana needs. But here today is all about this another element of our programme, helping entrepreneurs to establish and grow their businesses through this new ENGINE programme. It is clear there's lots of entrepreneurial spirit in Ghana. I've been here 3 years now, and there's lots and lots of people looking to make an income, looking to provide for themselves. There's the people by the roadside, there's the graduates creating apps that they sell worldwide. And there's lots of energy behind that. And indeed, there's a study done by the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, very tricky name, and they found that Ghana has one of the highest proportions of owner-managed businesses and the second highest proportion of new businesses. But despite all of that, small enterprises, small businesses struggle, as indeed previous speakers have noticed. And they really sort of struggle to grow and to create more, larger companies, more productive companies. And if companies don't grow at the beginning, in the first few years, it's much less likely they'll grow in the future. So it is important to really think about how to get through that barrier, because the jobs will come from these small, growing businesses. So our partnership with TechnoServe really aims to sort of help address some of this problem, to make a beginning. And we're really thrilled to be working with TechnoServe, and we're really thrilled to be working with these entrepreneurs. So there's going to be 1,000 people chosen, and the programme will help to sort of take the ideas that people have and help them develop it. Think about what would really make this business work. And I understand there's the first sort of set of help and some talks this afternoon. So I hope that's the beginning of the journey. And then the best of them, we will help with further sort of more intensive support, helping with finance, connections, with networks. So we're going to be providing about 18 million CDs, £4 million, over the next 4.5 years. We hope that at least 30% of those who are involved in the programme will be able to secure new financial investment for their business ventures as a result. And we hope they will create at least 1,700 jobs. And TechnoServe has got a very good track record in this area, and so I'm very glad that we're working with them. I'm very pleased to see the new 66 entrepreneurs here today. It's a very brave thing to start a new business. It's a brave thing to try. And I'm really pleased to see that there are more women than men applicants in this first application round. I think that's a great thing. Our previous speaker sort of talked about how... Yes, that's very good. I should encourage this. The previous speaker talked about how at the moment there's quite a bad gender imbalance between men and women on who run successful businesses, and I hope this will help to start redress that balance. Of course, but indeed, it is up to the entrepreneurs really to make this work and to make it a success. But I really hope that over the next 4 years, many of you will be able to jumpstart your business, and you'll be in a position to come back to a gathering like this and tell people about your journey and your success. So the best of luck, and thank you.
Thank you so much. And for the 66 of you, what she didn't tell you was that whether we'll get more money in the next 5 years depends on what you do. So please, this is a very good opportunity for you to open the door for more funding for the project to succeed. Now, we're very happy to have 2 testimonials. It's one thing telling somebody, you can do it, you can do a good business. It's another thing saying, I've been there, I've done that, and I've had a t-shirt for it. So we have 2 testimonials. The first is from the CEO of Natural Scientific Pharmaceuticals. Now, he also happens to be a past TechnoServe business plan competition participant. So what you are about to go through, he's been through a few years ago, and he has a successful business to show for it. Let's put hands together for Isaac Bohulu.
Madam Chair, respect to the high table, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry, I'm not going to sell my products. My address goes to the 66 participants. And to prevent me from straying, I have these A4 sheets which I'll show. I would like to tell you that ENGINE represents an opportunity. An opportunity not only to start a business, it also represents an opportunity that will open the door to other opportunities. And I'll show you with my story what the other opportunities could be. I hope they are not turned upside down. Okay. So I'll show you what my opportunities have been. Okay. As has been said, Google Foundation and TechnoServe organized a Believe, Begin, Become competition. And I was part of that program. And that program led me to start my company, which is NSP, Natural Scientific Pharmaceuticals, also known as Natural Medicines for Smart People. Now, well, these are some of the products that my company has been able to come up with. There are more in the pipeline. Unfortunately, I cannot promote them. Now, following the BBB, there were a lot of investor meetings. We met all the, as they say, movers and shakers in the economy. I will not mention names, but there were a lot of investor meetings, and we were made to make presentations to these high-level entrepreneurs. It is as a result of these meetings that I got to learn about the Venture Capital Trust Fund. And I made an approach. And because I had already gone through a business plan competition, it wasn't very difficult to present my documentation. So following that, I got some venture funding into my business. Now, it will be interesting to know that I started with the TechnoServe money. I did only 2 products. This one and that one. But following the venture capital investment, I got money to buy equipment that has allowed me to make creams. Okay. Now, the venture capital funding opened the doors to several management training programs. And these were for free. I never paid anything. And because my name was at that level, I mean, any program, you were sure to be called that this program is coming town. And are you interested? Are you going to participate? So I was able to participate in many of them. And the latest program that I have benefited from is what we call the Stanford Seed Program. And this is a program organized by the Stanford University of the USA. And they send down their top professors to come to Accra to organize this program. This program had participants from like Nigeria, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Ghana. and I think Sierra Leone. And we have just finished our cohort. The second cohort has just started. They've just had the first. And what is interesting with this program is that these professors come and give you what they have been teaching to their students in their MBA class. Apart from that, you have all these entrepreneurs from these countries sharing experiences. So from that, you also learn a lot to help your business. And then, interestingly, as we meet and chat, we share our problems. A lot of problems have already been listed. We share our problems. And during one of those discussions, I got someone to be interested in my business. So he has become we're going to start talking very soon. Because I'm at a level where I need to grow. I don't want to remain a micro all the time, as I said. So we need to grow. I'm going to talk to this investor to see whether we can move to the next level. So shortly, this is what this engine program can do for you.
Wow.
And I will advise you to give it your best shot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for Isaac Bohul, past TechnoServe participant, NSPL, Natural Medicine for Smart People. Let's get the second testimonial. He is the CEO of Steward Vista Systems. He's also a past TechnoServe BPC participant, Nana Sechi Ado Jampo.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I think mine will be anti-poster testimonies. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Well, before I share my experience, I would like to commend myself for yet another first achievement, which is being chalked by them today. I think engine is something which is on point. In 2006, when BBB, or Believe Begin Become, was being launched, it was also a novelty. At the time, it was also the first. Before I joined the Believe Begin National Business Plan Competition, I was working in a chartered accounting firm, serving SMEs. Obviously, in Ghana, about 85% of companies are more or less SMEs. So in my schedule of duties, I identified a need for business software. And I realized that most of the small businesses in Ghana didn't have proper systems and softwares to handle their daily operations. There were few in the systems though, but they were mostly not tuned to our Ghanaian setup in the area of taxation and other areas, for instance. You wouldn't find some of them too suitable for your operations if you're operating in Ghana. And I was an accountant person at the time, and I understood what it means, to put together a system. And at the time, I had also gone through a programming training at the University of Ghana, also through a joint program with MIT. So with my youthful exuberance, I thought I could marshal a force of youngsters for us to take advantage of this business need that I've identified. So when I saw the advert in the papers about the BBB, I thought it was nice. It was an opportunity for me to join. I was fortunate to be part of the top 15 award winners. And for my prize, I won 5,000 Ghana cedis from Speed Ghana and 10,000 worth of business support services. And that is where the trick came. And that is why I want to stress that those of you here who are also joining this program, often you go to programs like this, but then it's not about the money. To me, it's about the skill set. When I joined the BBB program, the money that I got, it got finished in about a month. Because one service will just take everything. You just go and print these things and everything is gone. By the next time, you are left with nothing in your hands. So, and nobody can come and give you $1 million to run a business, actually. So it's about the training. My good friend Isaac has spoke enough about training, so I don't want to dwell too much on that. But all I want to say is that it was through the aftercare business support. I was linked up with a consultant, and he took particular interest in my business. He helped shape the business idea. He helped mold it, and I was able to organize it in a more refined manner, beyond what I had thought of. I was only thinking about software, but he opened my eyes to other consultancy and other things to it. And the TechnoServe program also had a mini MBA training, and my good friend here was also part of it. At the time, we had a manual, and that manual was on how to prepare your own business plan. And I can share this with you, that manual has become my Bible to date. That manual is what has sustained me in business. Because beyond the software, like you say, you plan with youthful experience, with ideas, you develop products. I can show you samples of some of my products. This is an HR system. This system has on Oracle, it runs on Microsoft SQL Server. It can handle virtually every business in this country. But you go, you knock the doors of companies, nobody mind you. Who knows Steward Vista system? I'm sure that if it wasn't even for this opportunity, most of you here don't even know anything about Steward Vista systems. Because I can't pay for JFM. I cannot pay for advertising on CTFM. So it takes forums like this for you to also put your product across. I developed this product. Meanwhile, nobody was willing to buy them. This is a point of sale system with accounting background, with accounting support. It runs on MySQL Server, a splendid application that could handle virtually everything that you do. But nobody was willing to buy. My expectation was really cut short. But what actually helped was the business training and the support I got from my consultant. And that's why I'm going to dwell on these two parts, so that, as we get onto this program, you might not have all the money that you require for your business, but at least life without support is meaningless to me. If you can get a support program which will help you put your ideas together and keep moving on, then you get to the stage where you can now lift your business from the micro to the large scale. In my score of business, I am still at the micro, at the small, more or less, because we're just about 8 in our office. So if I'm to go by what the learning doctor said, then it means that I'm more or less like a small business now. But I want to go to the large, and I've not given up. I hope very soon I will also find a strategic investor like my brother has found. And I want to encourage all of you participants to just look beyond the money and seek the support and the networking.
He just secured for himself a 5-minute interview on my show. So I believe that after that interview you will get something. That's Nana. When I was in the university, we used to buy porridge in polythene bags, Hausa cocoa. And then they call it sharp brain because when you drink it and a book section is teaching econometrics, you will be sleeping. I don't know what they put in that sharp brain. It was very nice, but it had a soporific effect. So the man I'm about to call, he saw my problem and created a product that tastes as nice but will not make you sleep. So Cocoa King's cocoa, you can drink it but not sleep. He is Alberto Say. He's going to give us a short speech on breaking barriers in entrepreneurship, the founder of Cocoa King. Please put your hands together for him.
I'd like to say good morning to the honorable ministers here, the chairperson as well, ladies and gentlemen, and the graduates or the people who are actually wanting to bring their business forth. I'm not going to speak too much about Cocoa King because you will get enough information if you Google us on Facebook or YouTube, Vimeo, whatever channel you want to. You would get enough of our stories there. So I'm not going to go on and bore you about how we started and how we're here. All I'm going to say is I'm going to address a few things just to the people who are actually getting ready to move forward. And I will just try to associate that to our experiences so that you have an idea as to where you go from here. The Cocoa King story, and is really a story about God's grace and favor. That's the first thing, because the favor came at every stage. So I have to mention that. It's a story about perseverance. It's a story about discipline. It's a story about determination. It's a story about passion. It's a story about extreme hard work. Extreme hard work. It's also a story about customers. It's a story about the drive, the people, that is the team, and finally, the system. And these individual stories are many. I think I should actually start considering writing a book about it. I think it would probably help a lot of our young entrepreneurs who are actually wanting to start up their own businesses. Coming from a finance background, that is, working out interest rates, credit rates, working out GDPs, economies, and all those things. This was the least thing I would have done. The interest wasn't, it was the least thing that anybody in my position, I think, would do. Likely, if I wasn't here 5 years down the line, I probably would be somewhere in Scotland or probably somewhere in some international bank somewhere, trying to do some mergers or acquisitions or trying to sort something out with some bankers or something of that sort. So this is very different. And to be standing outside any corporation selling porridge. And I did that for probably a year until I handed it over to the sales team, a year or two, I think. To have that attitude and mindset is the key. That is the key. You really need to go beyond yourself and to say to yourself, this has to work no matter what. And if you can get past that, I think you are halfway there. And that is the mindset. So the mindset is about 50% of the journey. I just want you two guys to know that. It's 50% of the journey. If you can go beyond that, then you are more or less done. The rest is the implementation process, which is the daily grind, I call it. The daily grind is getting up in the morning, at dawn, at night, midnight, whatever time you want to. You just do it because you have to. But then you have to decide to do it. There's a decision you make and you stick to. And you are going to face many failures on the way. It is a must. If you don't make them, then I don't know what you're doing. You might be doing something different. It means you are so good that nothing is going to cross your path. The failures are going to come. It's instant. It's normal. In fact, when I see failure these days, I see that, I'm like, okay, so what do we do? It didn't work. Okay, so what do we do next? That's it. We move on. I don't even think about it anymore, but I had to develop it. That sort of hard, tough skill. You have to develop, you have to acquire that. You've probably learned that along the way, but these days when something happens, I just go quiet for about a few minutes. I think about it. I'm like, okay, what next? And then we move on. So this, you really have to think about that. It's only, I always say this, failure is only fatal when you give up. That's the only time failure is fatal. As long as you haven't given up, you're fine. You haven't failed. You are still trying. I am very, very glad that TechnoServe has added an aftercare program to this. And that's what made me come here today. It's the aftercare program. It's not a business plan. I mean, our business plan is, I remember when we started in 2008, I think it was 2007, 2008 we started. The business plan was a 10-year business plan. It's still there. It's been changed several times along the way because things change on the ground. So what you have on your paper is not necessarily what you're going to meet on the ground. It's very different. Of course, it guides you, it tells you, it gets you to focus on what you have to do, but the ground is completely different. So when you get there, you try to adapt the ground to your paper. You don't just say, okay, this is what I have on my paper, so this is how I'm going to do it, and nothing will change. It will change. And so you have to be flexible, you have to be innovative, you have to adapt to the system as it is on the ground, and then you move forward. And at every stage, you are going to encounter hurdles. Getting money is one of them, but I mean the biggest one for us was acquiring the right people. The biggest hurdle was not credit. From my side, the biggest issue is not about money, it was about people. Getting the right team, because believe you me, when you have the right team, you're done. You are 80% there. And the right team is what we are still working on now. We change as we go, but then the team is the most important. And so you have to make sure that you are thinking about your team. You are thinking about their competencies. You are thinking about where to put them in future. You are thinking about training them, enhancing them, making sure that they can run the business when you're not there. And that's why a lot of people stay in the micro level, as the doctor was saying before. You have to move beyond that. You can't be micro forever. So you have to be able to trust them to be able to run the company without you. When we started with a 10-year plan. The end game was the stock market. We were looking at companies like FunMilk. That's the benchmark for us. We haven't got there. We are 5 years down the line. The next stage, of course, as we speak here, is assistance. And that is why I'm very glad with TechnoServe for going there that way. Assistance is the key. I spent some time with Isaac at Stanford as well last year, and Stanford Seed. And he's right when he says that it's the people, the training, the contacts, the networks. Those are the key issues. Because as we sit here, as we prepare to meet investors, probably within the next 2-3 months, to scale up, to try to move to what, as Doctor said, to the major corporation that we want to move to. It's the people and the systems. That is what they are going to be investing in. The value of this is your financial statement, your 3 years, whatever, let's look at your numbers. That's basic. For me, the value is in the people and the system that you have created, because that is what is going to churn in the figures and the numbers day in and day out. And we have tried to build a solid system that I hope that probably next year, by the end of this year, I will not be necessarily be needed in the company at all. I will be irrelevant. When I go there, I'll be a stranger, because the system can run on its own, and then we can move to the next stage. Of course, the assistance is many, but what you have to do is you have to create it, because if you don't create it, forget it. You will have to be there every single day, and that one, it's not sustainable. It's really not sustainable. And so I thank TechnoServe for coming over. Definitely, it will work, but I would urge them to sustain it, and also to keep an eye on the critical moments when maybe the entrepreneurs themselves don't see that these are critical moments, and try and advise them and coach them along those lines. As for us at CocoClean, as I said, you will see a lot of information online. What I would say for us is that we do breakfast meals. Our passion is in food packaging. Our interest in raising the standards of local foods in the country. And so our biggest goal now is to achieve global certification in food safety and hygiene, and also to move to the next stage, as in supplying or feeding Ghana, if we can. Thank you very much.
When people move from the finance to the entrepreneurial sector, even the way they talk changes. Going for the jugular from the beginning, that's not time for nonsense. Charlie, you are powerful. We love it. Finally, we will hear government's policy on entrepreneurship. If there's no speech at all, I've been to events where government ministers don't turn up. We have 3 ministers supporting one event. That alone should tell you, Dr. Mianiso, Yilante Vanderpoel, and Dr. Pelpo. So please put your hands together for the Minister of State for Private Sector Development, Honorable. He's not a doctor yet, I'm speaking prophetically. Honorable Rashid Pelpo to bring to us our keynote speech.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, first, Madam Chairman, Chairperson, Madam Sally Taylor, Country Director, DFID, Emmanuel Torrell, Country Director, TechnoServe. The protocol is to recognize the ministers first. My minister, who was quite recently my regional minister, Upper West Region, Dr. Enso, and the Deputy Minister for Trade. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure today I'm here with you to deliver the keynote address to launch for the launch of the Enhancing Growth, a new enterprises program, ENGINE. I'm going to present this address hoping that in the end, two issues will come out. First, the position government has in development of entrepreneurs and development of private sector, and what the private sector itself has to do to ensure that the private sector continues to be the engine of growth and continues to be relevant in developing the economy. More and more, we in government recognize the private sector as the engine of growth. But beyond that is the fact that we want to place the private sector in front of our developments. First, to ensure that the private sector influences the economic development direction, and second, to ensure that the private sector takes the front role, places itself at the front role in changing the structure of our economy. The present situation in which we have an economy that is highly dependent, an economy that is primary in nature, that looks elsewhere for its development, is not desirable at all. So in trying to help change the fortunes of this economy and the nation as a whole, the private sector is very, very key. And the role that TechnoServe plays alongside with DFID cannot be overemphasized at all. And government has a critical role in encouraging enterprise growth by putting in place friendly private sector policies and institutions. Therefore, I do agree very much with what Sally said. I also do agree very much with the diagnosis by Dr. Texan when he was trying to talk about SMEs. It is important that we recognize the critical role of SMEs in our economy. The Ghanaian economy strives on small businesses. SMEs are very key. And to recognize this and work towards ensuring that we make policies that are directed at supporting them is one major occupation of government. Because historically, Ghana's investment climate has been largely conducive and has encouraged private sector growth, resulting in high GDP growth rates averaging 5% over the last decade. Compared to other countries in the sub-region, we have done well in first reforming our public institutions that serve the private sector by putting in place the GC net, for example, fast-track import and exports, and consolidating the revenue agencies. But secondly, to consolidate what we have done is also to consolidate the revenue agencies into a single authority, and that provides better services, quicken the pace in which businesses run, so as to increase our ease of doing business in Ghana. We do recognize the challenge, however, that the ease of doing business in Ghana is still much to be desired. And as Doctor was enumerating all those challenges, it struck me that we still have a lot to do. However, we all know that other countries, despite our achievements, are also working hard to transform their economies to also create the same conditions as we create. And Ghana, if we don't work very hard, will no longer be the destination of choice for people coming into Africa or West Africa. So recognizing this, we are working very, very hard into transforming and ensuring that in whatever we do, we create a condition for the thriving of the private sector. We are alive to the needs to deepen we are alive to the need to deepen our reform, therefore, and to ensure greater public sector efficiencies. And despite some delays, we are now moving forward to implement several national strategies and policies, such as the National Private Sector Development Strategy 2. And for example, we are also in the process of developing regulations which will attract more private equity and angel investments into enterprises in Ghana. We may need to move faster, therefore, in this reform. The President is conscious about this, and as we know, he has appointed me Minister in charge of the private sector in the office of the President, and he is also the Chairman of the Private Sector Council, all to give vent to our private sector role in government. And so through the Private Sector Council, he receives lots of information and advice on how to proceed in developing and designing policy approaches to strengthen the private sector operations in Ghana. Businesses themselves, apart from the external environment, enterprises, companies, entrepreneurs, just like you, have a bigger role to play. First, in ensuring that in your growth process, you develop efficiency, you develop ways and means of overcoming the challenges that you meet and make yourself better. There is some dependency syndrome in the system. When people finish school, everybody wants a job. And they all come to government departments with their CVs, and they are all asking for somebody else to employ them. There is no thinking beyond the fact that people can be by themselves employers. They can employ themselves and even extend their capacities to employ others. So the challenge is there. And lots of them have also developed capacity because they are able to identify what they need, but they do not know what to do with the need. So that is where government comes in to develop the right kinds of approaches to supporting these kinds of people. And that is why we have been supporting the National Board for Small-Scale Industries and, again, the Agriculture Export Development Fund, which are meant to tackle the challenges faced by emerging businesses and especially startup businesses so they can take off and be relevant. Madam Chairperson, we in government are therefore very thankful to the UK government, represented by the DFID and TechnoServe, for spearheading this much needed initiative which will support and nurture early stage and small businesses. And I would like to encourage private sector colleagues here today, the financial sector institutions and human resource development companies to join hands and partner this initiative. It is important, and we know what it can do to support our national strive to transform this economy. Let me also reiterate my government's commitment to private sector-led growth. It is you, the private sector, that will drive growth, generate employment, and contribute to tax revenues, which in turn will finance public services. We are therefore committed to a continuous dialogue with you on the opportunities and challenges of doing businesses in Ghana and what government should be doing to address those challenges that are enumerated and which you face as private sector people. To TechnoServe, I wish you all the best with this endeavor and encourage you to come and see me if there's a need. I'll work alongside with other ministers to address some of the challenges you'll be facing, because we do recognize the very strategic role you are playing in propping up businesses and solving the almighty problem of job creation in this country and creating a situation where we can have domestic investment happening by Ghanaians themselves. Finally, to the entrepreneurs and to DFID, first, you have been a great partner in Ghana's development, and today's initiative is a testimony to it. And we are very, very, very grateful as a government. And you entrepreneurs, today you are Ghana's future. There's no gains saying it. It is logical, it is what it is, that an entrepreneur defines the path in the growth of economy. So you are our future, and I encourage you to dedicate yourself to the program and the many opportunities that it can provide to help you grow your business. The present challenges we face in the economy are just opportunities for entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs in the market to take advantage and make money. In any economy where there are no challenges, you don't have initiatives. You don't have people coming up, offering themselves. People are not challenged. Today, the challenges we are facing in the economy rest with you to find solutions to them in your private ways, supported by us. So you are most welcome, and we are very happy to be associated with you and to work with you. And I thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. We invite the chairman or chairperson, Madam ENGINEGhana, to come and launch it.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the high table, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor, on the words, very optimistic words of the minister, that they are committed to private sector growth and that he's been encouraged to move faster than before. I declare the engine product duly launched. I believe we are all fired up and we are inspired by what we've heard here today. And I usually like to make an analogy. In the developed countries, we have learned that based on some epidemic or other that may have taken place, now they are into preventive medicine. They actually prevent people from falling sick so that they don't have to do what we call breakdown maintenance. So as we are here and we know what is going on, we have identified our issues, that the private sector is the engine of growth. We have been told some of the issues that are faced by the entrepreneurs and existing ones. And we have been assured by the government's commitment to the private sector development. I will say that we will now move on and ensure that we make big strides in encouraging people to create wealth. and I'm very privileged to have been part of this very important ceremony. And I thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
The first pilot or the pilot cohort is mainly within the youthful age group. And then 5% of the concepts are over 50 years. The program is open to everyone. The structure, departing from what everyone else is doing, where everything is concentrated in Accra. This program is being implemented across Ghana. Now the pilot phase is in Accra. Next 2 months, which is in May, we are going to launch Kumasi, and then we will launch Accra May. So the scale-up phase will come in Accra in May, and then it will come in Kumasi also in May. And then in November, we'll be scaling up in Tamale. Although we are using these 3 centers as the places to do the launch, we have zoned the country such that we are going to have satellite offices in the other regions where we can receive concepts and where we can train the entrepreneurs. And over the life of the project, we expect to receive at least 5,000 concepts and ideas. And out of that, we expect that 1,000 of them would have been real businesses ready to go and they will assist. These are the minimum numbers that we are stating. Anything short of that means that we haven't really delivered the program. After when you submit your concept, it goes through a series of screening. First, you're going to be screened on the concept, just the basic concept. We screen it, and then you make it to the next level. The next level then allows you or affords you to attend a series of programs, a series of training programs over